Dear speakers and participants, we are happy to see you here and we are pleased to welcome you to our session titled on Agriculture and Food. My name is Nurgul, I will be your host, and Katerina Zhdano, my colleague, will be my co-host today. During our session, we will have 3 presentations from different projects. And before we start, let us remind you some home rules. First, each project has only 15 minutes for presentation. During the presentations, the participants are able to write their questions in question and answers tab or in chat. The last 10 minutes will be dedicated for only Q&A session. The host or co-host will voice out your questions and you will answer answers from speakers. In case if you would like to voice out your question yourself, just use the raise hand option and host or co-host will invite you to stage and you can ask a question. If you would like to use subtitles, just select button indicated as CC on the bottom menu, and you will see the text of the speeches. After the event, all the presentation will be available on the website of the CBHE fair. All our sessions are streaming on Facebook page and the YouTube channel of the CBHE fair. Also, we would like to remind you that you have today great opportunity. 40 thematic rooms and 20 private rooms are open in the lounge, and you can join over there later. This concludes the small instructions, and I give the floor to our first speakers, Professor Carlo Pozzi and Professor Vidyut Kumar Sarma, with their project Strengthening Education, Research and Innovation for Climate Smart Crops in India. Please, our speakers, the floor is yours.
Thank you.
All right, it's loading as far as I can see. Okay, here we go. All right, thank you for the opportunity and welcome to the AdaptNet project. Actually, the project reads like Strengthening Education, Research and Innovation for Climate Smart Crops in India. And we are reporting here of the work we have been doing during the past 3 years. And I'm Carlo Pozzi, and I'm from the University of Milano in Italy. And my co-speaker is going to be Professor Vidyut Sarma from Assam Agricultural University in India. So the AdaptNet project is an international network which is composed of 4 European groups which are based in Italy, the University of Milano, and in the center of Italy, which is the Polytechnic University of Marche, and 2 institutions which are in Greece, the Agricultural University of Athens and the Academy of Athens. And then there are 4 institutions in India, 3 of which are universities, the Assam Agricultural University and the Tezpur University in Assam, and the University of Agricultural Sciences in Dharwad, the south part of India. And in Hyderabad, we have an internationally funded research institute which is called ICARSAT. Now, let's have a look at which are the goals we are pursuing. Well, first of all, our first pillar is in science, and we are interested in climate change. That's what our researches are being focusing. So, of course, the AdaptNet project is not actually a research project, but it's heavily building on the science we are already developing. I would please ask the other speakers to switch off their microphones, please. So the climate change that we are interested in is considered from the scientific, economic, and social impact. And we also are interested in understanding how climate change-ready crops can be integrated in the agricultural environment, especially in India. And we are doing that at the systemic level. So we are trying to understand how a climate change resilient system can actually be realized, especially in countries like India. We do that through a very intensive training set of activities, workshops, mobility of scholarships, and updated curricula and the e-labs. And we'll be talking about those items in the next few minutes. And networking and dissemination is also an integral part with webinars, meetings and conference and outreach activities, which are conducted in India, as you will learn in the next few minutes. So the first thing we did was to realize a set of 4 workshops during a month in 2020 for 30 Indian trainees, which are staff in the institutions, members of the project. And this is important because they have now the opportunity to go back to their institutions and be able to readily implement what they've been learning during these 4 workshops. The 4 workshops were done in Italy: philosophical, legal, economical, and agronomical perspectives and climate change, and genetic resources, gene discovery, and climate change, and in Greece, agriculture and climate change. And eventually, after those 3 weeks spent in Europe, the students went back to India and they had the final workshop at the ICRISAT on genomics for developing climate resilient crops. So that was done with great success, as it was demonstrated by the feedbacks we received. And we were ready to go for the next step, which was the 3-month mobility of 16 Indian students, PhD onwards, in 4 European laboratories. And that's when the COVID started. And of course, that put a pause to our activities, at least in terms of mobility. So the AdaptNet is very strong also on the networking, and we did networking activities to construct and, let's say, implement the basis of future interactions between the partners. That was done both in Europe, Brussels, Athens, and in India, where we had a meeting when then the pandemic started, and now we are having recurrent and regular meetings online. So I would like to stress the importance of these virtual meetings, which are very carbon neutral opportunity to regularly meet and coordinate the activities, but also I would like to stress the impossibility of substituting in-presence meeting with those kinds of virtual meetings. Of course, then we have a website, which is reported here, and we have a quite intense activity online with Facebook and Twitter, and please follow us there on our social media. We did webcons as a tool to interact with scientists and trainees, and that was done especially from our partners in India. There have been publications done by Human Resources, which are currently members of the project, and this is going to be presented later on by my Indian co-presenter, as well as the outreaching activities conducted in India. So, as I said, COVID-19 has been a challenge, but as every challenge, it can be considered also as an opportunity. So, in-presence activities in the labs, and please again switch off the microphone. The in-presence activities in the lab were heavily reduced, if not impossible, and that's still the case. So we turned this challenge into an opportunity, and we submitted to the SIA a modification of the project with a sub-project which is currently being organized, where we want to organize those immersive videos, interactive immersive videos, where the students, the trainees, or the researchers can actually interact with people virtually in the labs. They can answer and ask questions, and they can take quizzes, and they can have a sort of a virtual experience. This will be done with the creation of an intensive course for the Indian partners, and eventually they will be able to produce their own videos and integrate them into their didactic activities. And with this, I thank you and hand over the microphone to my colleague, Professor Bidwit Sarma from Assam Agricultural University.
Thank you, Professor Carlo. So I would continue what he has presented and then what we have made progress in India. Okay, as Carlo has already mentioned, that our goals were to generate scientific knowledge in the area of climate smart agriculture through trainings to our scientists as well as students in terms of workshops and mobility scholarships, and then updating the curricula in climate resilient agriculture. And that would be done through establishing e-labs. And also networking and disseminations has already been mentioned through webinars, meetings, conference, and outreach programs. Next slide, please. So 3 e-learning laboratories, courses were first developed in Assam Agricultural University, one in Assam Agricultural University. The title was Climate Resilient Agriculture. This is for postgraduate students. And one at Tezpur University, Climate Change Mitigation and Energy Management for Crop-Based Livelihood, which is also meant for post-graduation. And at University of Agricultural Science, Dharwad, there was no exactly a specific course, but they included the climate resilient agricultural prospects and then techniques, etc., in 10 existing courses. Next slide, please. Well, for conducting these courses so that many number of students could attend, so we established e-laboratories through this funding, one at Tezpur University, one at Assam Agricultural University, and one at UAS Dharwad. These 3 e-lab laboratories were established, and we have also developed the websites for each of the e-laboratories. And for maintaining the e-laboratories, we maintain through the logbooks, and then we also used to get the feedbacks from the students and other users. Next slide, please. As for networking and dissemination, as it has already been mentioned, that e-courses were developed in 2 e-courses, and then 57 numbers of training and webinars we conducted. Very some recent activities are like a web conference was conducted on novel breeding approaches for food security under changing climatic conditions during October 2021 at University of Agricultural Science, Dharwad, and one at Assam Agricultural University, that is on AdaptNet webcon on climate smart technologies for agriculture and industry, their challenges and prospects. And we also conducted a series of webinars during the last year on towards outcome-based agri-biotech research and education, a roadmap that was also conducted at Assam Agricultural University. And next slide, please. Next slide. Yeah. So we also conducted one e-conclave at Tezpur University on promotion of biogas. And one certificate course was conducted at US Dharwad on biotechnology under biotechnology skill enhancement program during this year. And several outreach programs were conducted. And we have also made some publications in local languages, 8 publications and 2 podcasts were already published. Next slide, please. So beneficiaries, if you see, through the e-courses on climate smart agriculture, whether through credit course or through a non-credit course, about 159 students got benefited so far. And for other online courses which were conducted through e-laboratories, about 200 beneficiaries were there. And then through trainings, about 500 plus beneficiaries were recorded. And through webinars, about 2,600 beneficiaries were recorded. Next slide. So what is our future roadmap for this program? Like, we have to implement the training of students in Europe. As Carlo has already mentioned, that because of COVID-19, this has not yet been conducted, but we are expecting them to visit Europe very soon. And we also have to upgrade the e-courses in national e-portals. Under the Indian government, there are some e-portals, which are available for e-courses. And then, we are attempting to publish our courses or to upload our courses in these e-portals. And also our courses have to be, assessed their quality has to be assessed, and for that, two international experts have already been identified, and they have already agreed to assess our program on quality. And then we also have to formulate research project. This is most important part, that for sustaining the project and adopt that project, we have to develop some new research projects, on climate resilient agriculture, wherein we would like to involve startups as well as non-government organizations. And for your information, one such project has already been developed at Assam Agricultural University, and we have submitted to the Government of India funding agency. It's called Department of Biotechnology, and then we are expecting these funds to receive at Assam Agricultural University by early next year. And also we have to develop the resource materials in local language, which will continue. Of course, we have already developed some, but many more will be developed for dissemination of our climate smart practices. So I'd like to thank the European Union Erasmus Plus program for funding us. And this is a great opportunity for us as well as our scientists to interact with the European scientists and students. So thank you very much. Here I am.
You're muted.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you, Professor Carlo. Thank you, Professor Bidyut, for your interesting presentation. And let me give the floor to our next speaker. Our next speaker is Professor Claudio Colombo with his project, which titled on International University Cooperation on Land Protection in European Asiatic Countries. So please, the floor is yours.
Sorry, I have a problem to share my desktop. Could you hear me?
Yes, we
Yes,
hear you.
Could you please switch off the
desktop?
Yeah.
It's okay?
Oh, good. Yes,
Yes.
thank you.
Okay. So my project was, the title is International University Cooperation on Land Protection on the European ASEAN country. So the starting point was to share experience from Chinese university. We have 10 university from Chinese academic institution, Kyrgyz academic institution, and Kazakh academic institution. So we share experience from Central Asian and Chinese university with European university from Italy, University of Study of Molise, Italian, from Slovak University in Nitra, and the Zagreb Faculty of Agriculture in Croatia. So in this project, we involve two non-academic partners. One is Formit, is a foundation on the scientific transfer of scientific transfer, and Studio Giuliano was a project, professional project on a European project. So what is the aim of this project? Create an international network on land protection among 10 universities, establish and structured cooperation on scientific research and knowledge transfer, and to have an educational program on 7 summer school and 11 workshops that we delivered for the students and produce an innovation in the framework on land protection. The aim was to exchange experience on the good practices related to educational program on land protection. So we realized a short-term mobility of teacher, administrative, and the technician and students in a common educational program for a perspective on the land protection. So we start what is the budget of this project. We have close to 945,000 euro, and we spent a lot of money for the mobility, and part of money was used for equipment for the Kyrgyz and the Kazakh partner, and the other cost was used mainly for the translation, because we have 3 universities from China, so we have to translate in Chinese language many of the documents that we produce. So when we start, we decided to share many documents with the website Ukland, www.ukland.eu. When we start, we have 7,300 of visitors, mainly from Europe, and but also from Central Africa, Russia, and North America. Then, when we check the visitors in our website, we realize that we have many visitors from European countries, about 50%. Then we have Asian country, African country, and the North American country. So in the website, we share many documents in the free part of the website, and the other part are mainly used for the project. So what is the starting point of this project? We start with an overview of education systems. On the we are a lot of about 10 universities, so we need to share educational programs, current research, competence, expertise, very different. Then the second step was an overview on the land degradation in Europe, in Central Asia, and in China. So the current situation on the country about the soil degradation and the social impact or the economic impact on in the territory. The last part of the baseline was an overview on the publication and the cooperation between the university to share our competence and also the relevant research on these topics. So the first point was to build an international curriculum to join our experience in 11 workshops, and we plan 7 international schools organized by 6 universities. The international intensive school was developed for different types of students. So we have a master degree from environmental science, agricultural science, earth science, technology, And
Professor?
a big curious Europeans of like. So, what is the life motive of this international curriculum? We try to cover many topics like biodiversity, ecology, agricultural land management, environmental protection, environmental law, to improve some skill and competence on these the topics connected with the land protection. So, and we develop a new curriculum related to the land protection. So we start in this project with 11 workshops. The workshop aim to introduce and orienting all people, all teachers and the students in the planning activity. So then we receive a lot of feedback in the starting part of the project, collecting teaching material and harmonize many of the feedback that we received during the project. In total, in the workshop, we have 642 people from teacher, researcher, technological staff, and students. So this is the starting point of the project. Also, we evaluate the training session with about 40,000 of questionnaire evaluating each of the 11 workshops. After this background activity, we plan 7 international summer schools. Each summer schools have some part that it was the basic part of the international project. Then we have 7 summer school in different places of the project. So some in Italy, in Slovakia, in Kyrgyzstan, in China, in Kazakhstan, and also in Croatia. What are the main part of the project? The summer school was in 1 week by intensive day course with topic on land degradation. The target students were mainly master students. At the end of the summer school, we deliver 4 ECTS necessary for the curriculum of each student. We have in total about 1,074 students. In this table, I show you that we have about 20 students for partners. The selection of students was made for a call. We need a specific requirement for the students. And the second point, important point of the summer school was the accreditation procedures. So we have to join each system of evaluation from European and Kazakh, Kyrgyz, and Chinese systems. So we have to harmonize this evaluation to have a common system for the accreditation of the summer school. Of course, we follow the Erasmus Plus guide for the ECTS European System of Accreditation credits. One point that I like of this project was the evaluation procedures. So we during the workshop, we delivered 481 questionnaire. This questionnaire was important to have a feedback for the teaching material. Then we have 400 questionnaire for the summer school and mainly for teacher and students, and all the lecture during the summer school were evaluated. Another point important of this project was the stakeholders involvement. So we have two non-academic partners in this project, is Studio Giuliano and Formi, that is a private council. They help us to involve many professionals like agronomists, geologists, engineers, and biotechnologists to help us to improve our knowledge on the soil remote sensing, soil remediation, soil monitoring. So we try to collect many information from the stakeholders on our project. And I agree, and I am very happy on the results, because we learn that the stakeholders try to understand that the conflicting interests in the land degradation are mainly on the use. So we have in hand farmer and public authorities that try to preserve the ecosystems, the habitat conservation, the soil protection, and the landscape protection. And then on the other hand, we have the private activity, so the soil sealing, the mining activities, the industrialization that have a strong impact on the land conservation. So we try to have a dialogue with many actors connected with the land management. This is just a list of meeting stakeholders that we have in Italy, in Croatia, in Kyrgyzstan. We try to involve many stakeholders in this project. What are the products of UCLAND, this project? I am very happy on the workshop, because we have 642 participants from university teacher, researcher, technical staffs, and students. About 45 hours of video recording on each section. Then we have also 40,000 questionnaires about the workshop. So we have a very good feedback of each activity.
Dear Professor, so I'm so sorry for interrupting you, but you have 2 minutes for finishing your idea.
Okay. I'm going directly on the main impact and the results of this project. So we have 7 international schools, 72 teachers, and 1,076 students involved in this mobility. 10 bilateral agreement between 10 universities, and we have an uploading of the curriculum development in 6 universities in Europe that improve our modernize our curriculum on remote sensing and precision agriculture. We have 166 transfer record from each university, and in the website we have more than 50 documents that we share. Other part of relevance of this project was 400 of stakeholders that were involved during the project, and we have a lot of impact with the number that we measure of in the website, of number of the access, also the items that we can find on. If you write Euclid on Google, you find many materials, also video and publication and any items of this project. Thank you. I am very pleased to participate in these meetings. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, dear Professor Claudio. Thank you for your very informative presentation. And finally, we move on to our last presentation in our session. And our last speakers are Professor Bela Marcus and Ilhom Abdurrahmanov with their project Doctoral Studies in Geoinformation Science. Please welcome, and the floor is yours.
Good afternoon. I am Bela Marcus from Hungary, and the project is very glad to be selected for this very interesting session. The Genghis project is on doctoral studies in geoinformation science. We will give a joint presentation with Ilhom Abdurrahmanov. My part will be more managerial and methodological, and Ilhom will talk about the project results in details. Ilhom? Yes, this slide is talking about the roots of geoinformatics. Geoinformation science is a very young science. However, has its roots thousands of years, integrates 3 traditional geosciences, as the first is land surveying, as the science of precise locational data acquisition. Second is geography, as the science of interpretation, spatial data, and analysis of this data. The third science is cartography, as the science of visualization and map making. And these sciences integrated using the rapidly evolving informatics. Geoinformatics is an interdisciplinary science, and I think it can be used in both of the projects presented, AdaptNet and EU's Land, so can be used to monitor and manage somehow climate change and also land degradation, which is very important in both European countries and in Uzbekistan. Next slide. Before the Erasmus plus Genghis project, we had a very successful campus GeoInformatics project, which has built a first master program in Uzbekistan in GeoInformatics. What you see on the left side of the slide, that is a satellite image about Amudarya River just flowing into Aral Lake. So I think you know very well the environmental problems on this area. The abstraction of this image became the logo of GeoInformatics, what you see. And GeoInformatics has planted a small tree of this science, which was grown by in the last 3 or 4 years within the Genghis project. This tree is like the knowledge tree. We built a knowledge infrastructure of GeoInformatics in Uzbekistan. Next. And that is yours, Ilham. Maybe turn off the microphone. Yes.
Sorry, Ilham, could you please turn on your microphone? Dear participants, sorry, we have some technical problems. Just a moment.
Dear speaker, can you speak a little for us to understand, do we hear you or not? No. Mr. Abdurrahmanov, I'm sorry, we don't hear you.
Ilham, unmute your microphone.
No, he is unmuted. I think there is some technical problems.
So we will share our
Okay,
screen.
maybe I can continue until this
Thank you.
problem will be solved. So the main aim of the project was to support Uzbekistan in sustainable development, and it is supported by the GeoInformation Science doctoral program on this field. So the first objective was to develop a doctoral program, and fortunately, in the first year, the program was accredited, so we could start the program immediately. We built knowledge infrastructure, as we mentioned. So we built knowledge centers and also a joint research center for researches and learning. Next slide. Here you see the project partners. We had 4 partners from Europe, Austria, Germany, Sweden, and Hungary. Hungary was the coordinator, and 5 universities from Uzbekistan. 3 from.
What about now?
Okay, it is working now. You can continue.
Yeah, you can continue. Next slide, I can, Professor Bella. Sorry.
So 3 universities from Tashkent, and 1 from Samarkand, and 1 from Nukus.
So during our project, sorry for a technical problem. During our project, we have established 5 knowledge centers in 5 Uzbek partner universities, and we have purchased those equipment which you can see on this slide. And we have built a great infrastructure and a good opportunity for our PhD students, not only for PhD students, but for the young research staff, to do their research related to geoinformatics, remote sensing, land management, etc. And we have built such network between not only Uzbek partner universities, but which can connect to our European partner universities. Next, please. And during our project, we have developed 18 PhD modules, which is now situated in the Moodle site of Tiame and in the server of the Joint Research Center, which you can access by this link, which you can see on this slide. And those courses are more related to GIS, remote sensing, etc. And 10 of them are developed in Uzbek language, and 8 of them are in English language. And they are open not only for the PhD student, but also for researchers and master students, teachers, and also for the staff of the industry people. Next, please.
Dear Professor Bala.
I'm sorry, go back to the previous slide. Oh no, that was some changes. Okay. Yes, this one. Yes, in the learning material development process, we have used a step-by-step approach: plan, do, check, and act. And we started with the module development with a short 1-page specification. When the authors agreed on the content, it was continued with a chapter-level specification, where continuous peer review by European and Uzbek partners was applied. In the last phase, we had piloting, testing, and evaluation, which was done by PhD students. For harmonization of development, we used 2 additional tools. Next slide. Yes, that was the first is the competency matrix. What you see on the screen, on the left side, competencies came from a needs analysis, a data needs analysis. On the header, you see courses defined by the project advisory board and the project management board. And we selected authors, as you have heard from Ilham, 10 from Uzbekistan and 8 from European countries. Each authors were asked to cross-check their course with the competencies. You see the table says the X sign means it is touching that competence. Okay, so this is a very good tool for gap analysis and also to hide the unnecessary overlaps. Next slide. I think this very important tool was a glossary, a cloud-based glossary, which was built interactively and cooperatively by project partners. It was an editorial board selected, and so they edited this glossary, which has now more than 1,000 entries in Uzbek. And to build this glossary, we have used 6,200 English entries. The glossary is available, freely available. Okay, next slide.
Yes, one of the main project results which we have gained, this is the doctoral program in GeoInformatics, which we have established during our project, and the new PhD program, which is GeoInformatics, included to the nomenclature of the Supreme Attestation Committee under the Cabinet of Ministers of the Republic of Uzbekistan. And finally, this year on June, we have first defense, PhD defense in GeoInformatics done by Mamanbek Raimov, who is a national project manager. Next, please. And as a competence development, I would say that we have organized several trainings, workshops, which you can see on this slide in management and administration issues, for scientific advisors training on learning support methodologies, and scientific advisors trained on supervision and research methodologies. And we planned actually 15 doctoral candidates studied in one semester EU countries, but there are some challenges because of COVID pandemic situation, and 8 of them could complete their study, 2-month study in Europe offline, and 7 of them couldn't go to the Europe because of COVID, and they completed their study online. And 15 potential scientific advisors trained on interdisciplinary doctoral courses. And also we planned GIS summer school, but because of pandemic, we waited for the situation would be better, but at the end not. That's why we have organized this summer school as a winter school and in online form. Next, please. And during our project, we have developed a knowledge pool which is situated in TIAME, or Joint Research Center server, includes previous project courses, GEOS courses, 8 and 18 Singh's courses, and glossary of geospatial terms, and GIS-related conference proceedings, and products of PhD students related to GIS and other related GIS-related scientific journals, which you can access this knowledge pool on this link, which you can see on this slide. Next, please. And one of the main result of our project, we have established a joint research center, which is accessible, joint use by Uzbek partner universities, 5 Uzbek partner universities, and the main and direct aim of the center is to provide knowledge management and research and development services for PhD programs and PhD candidates in Uzbekistan. And the main task of GRC are to develop research competences of young researchers, to arrange and foster actual researchers, to support geospatial community with adequate trainings, which can be performed using infrastructure of GRC. You can see some photos from the GRC opening ceremony on this slide. And for Joint Research Center, we have purchased 115,000 euro equipment. Professor?
Yes, to use this enormous infrastructure, we developed the business model based on the balanced scorecard methodology. We have taken into account 4 perspectives, namely financial, customer, internal process, and learning and growth perspectives. These are supporting very much the sustainable development for Genghis outputs, mainly for the future development of this joint research center.
Dear speakers, I'm so sorry for interrupting you, but you have only additional 1 minute for finishing your presentation. Thank you.
Okay. And we have organized annual conferences each year. And last 2 of them, 2021 and 2020, we have organized, and the proceedings of the conference have been included to the journal, which is based which is indexed in Scopus. Actually, we have planned 62 publications, scientific papers, but at the end, more than 300 peer-reviewed publications published in the journals and publications of the conference. Next, please. And we have established international GIS network. Uzbek partner universities have signed a memorandum of understandings on scientific cooperation with all European partner universities. Next, please. And you can find more information on the project website, which are accessible in English and Uzbek language, or you can contact us directly by these emails. Next, please. Yes, unfortunately, on July of this year, former rector of the Tashkent Institute of Irrigation and Agriculture Mechanization Engineers, Professor Uktan Pardayevich Umurzakov, left us, and we should mention that during our project implementation, he did his inputs a lot. He helped a lot for our project, starting GeoInformatics PhD degree establishing, and this joint research center opening, and so on. In each site of project, he helped a lot, and we hope his place in heaven, and he will be always in our heart. Professor Bella?
Yes, Professor Umurzakov was the key person in the project implementation. He helped a lot with his advices and support, and the GRC is placed in a nice, very nice environment. We will remember him.
And then we would like to thank to all the organizers of this fair and the EU Commission, and also to National Erasmus Plus office in Uzbekistan for their continuous support during the project implementation. Thank you very much for your attention.
Dear speakers, thank you for presenting the results of your project implemented within the framework of the Erasmus Plus program, and it was very interesting. And I hope that the participants, inspired by your result of your projects, and they are in a way for creating new ideas in a new Erasmus Plus program for 2021 and 2027. Unfortunately, we haven't time to start Q&A sessions, so and it's time to close our session. Thank you for all of you for joining us, for your active involvement and high interest in our session. And we remind you that today there are 60 rooms of opportunities open for you. 40 of them are thematic rooms, and 20 rooms are just for private conversations, where you're able to continue your meeting with project representatives, or maybe meet with them, discuss some questions and ideas. So join to the lounge, and the lounge is open, and you can join whenever you want. So thank you Good luck with your next project within the new Erasmus Plus program. Stay safe and healthy. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. It was very